instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past. Whatever they are, whatever you call them, ghosts, spirits, shades, specters, apparitions, there is not a corner of the world they do not inhabit.
I'm coming through.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dangerous Podcast, where we talk all things paranormal. I'm Ken James, and this is Jason McKittrick.
Hey, folks.
And if it can haunt, howl, or dwell in the dark, we want to talk about it. And tonight,
Sir.
we're going to do a little something special here. We're going to talk about the ghost movies that made us, or
The 4 of our favorite ghost movies.
right, it's going to be just another fun episode here, you
Yes. I want to say from the top, we're immediately excluding Ghostbusters. And we're kind of,
know? And Beetlejuice.
and Beetlejuice. We're kind of trying to have the spooky little vibe with them. I went with all scary ones. I know you have a couple lighthearted ones.
Just one lighthearted one.
But there's the classics that that you don't even have to mention. These are our favorite go-tos. Starting to move into the spooky season. It's coming.
It's coming.
We're about mid-August at this point.
Right.
Oops.
Nope.
Sam.
Sam! Sanheimer! Friend of the show, Sam!
We're talking about pumpkin beer.
Yeah. That we're drinking.
Yeah, that we are drinking. He's very excited about the Elysian I found.
Oh, Sam! What a guy! What a guy!
We'll have him on soon.
Right? He's Sam Heimer, the one that does artwork for a bunch of different podcasts and things like that.
He does a lot of some banging artwork for some very very excellent beer labels. If you're listening to this, you probably know Sam anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Sam's a dude with amazing calves. I gotta shout out his calves.
yeah.
Didn't notice it until the Bark of the Macabre this
He
year.
doesn't wear shorts very often.
Sure, it was nuts.
Love you, Sam.
Love you, Sam. We love you, buddy. All right, so
So yeah,
our 4 choices, and then at the end we're gonna do.
we're gonna do a unpopular opinion section.
Sure.
There's some that are well loved that if it's other dangers, there's got to be some hate in here somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I'm here. Shade's got to get thrown.
Yeah. Oh, no. No. Would I look like this if I did coke? Come on.
I don't know. Who knows? I look like this. There was a rumor for a while, but anyway. All right. So, do you want to kick it off? Would you like me to kick it off? How do you want to go about this one?
I can kick it off if you want.
I would love to hear you kick it off.
All right, buddy. Well,
Yeah, kick it
my pick is the fantastic 1999 release Stir of Echoes, starring our boy Kevin Bacon.
off. Kevy Bakes.
Yep, I love this movie.
Great movie.
I saw it for the first time at your house. It was like a Sunday morning. I think I slept over. I woke up on the couch. Your mom is yelling at you for something.
Sure. Sure.
And then Chris was like, "Oh, let's put on Stir of Echoes." I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen it." They're like, "Oh." And then Rocco came over. Like the 4 of us were on the couch. We watched it together. What a great movie, man. Like just a tidy little ghost story, which written by Richard Matheson, based off of his story, famous for I Am Legend. And a slew of others, but this is a great movie. I like the whole idea. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out because I think this is like cream of the crop, ghost type movies. Kevin Bacon, he's got this, Chicago working class kind of guy, right? He's got the wife, he's got the weird kid, right? You got the weird kid in the mix, and the kid, I think they think he has psychic powers, where he talks to ghosts at least. Right.
They think there's heavily something wrong with him, and they're not exactly sure what it is.
So they go to They go to a party one night, and I think it's his sister-in-law. She's like a psychic, interested in supernatural.
She's the easy chick that everyone knows.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that, like,
always parties at her apartment.
dabbles,
She's got silk scarves over the lampshades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
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 So she says,
I'm just witchy. That's all it is.
Right,
I'm just
right,
witchy.
right.
Yeah.
So she is somehow able to unlock his psychic ability, or just unlock his ability to see ghosts.
Yeah, well, she does that whole thing, and like, he's like bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Chicago, right? But I feel like he does like a heavy Boston accent. I feel like he does.
Yeah, but it's definitely Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like he does a Boston accent.
It's just Kevin Bacon.
Right.
He's like, I'm here.
Right.
Just
But yeah, so yeah, she ends up.
she like hypnotizes him.
Right. She's with her new, and she's doing her thing, like
Yep.
and she's like Otho.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
like, yeah, and
But she brought the goods.
she did. She didn't even realize it, because after she did it, remember when he comes out of it?
Yeah.
And he was like, "What the fuck?" And she's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
She's like, that worked.
Yeah. Right. And then he comes to her later with the like, "Tell me how to fucking get out of it," and she's like, "I don't fucking."
Yeah.
She's like, "Look, I'm a whore. I
Yeah.
don't
Whoa. She's like, hands vermilion, ravens dive. Now let the dead come alive.
Oh, such a good scene.
Yeah, I know.
That's Beetlejuice though.
We don't explain our references anymore. Remember? Yeah, so
Good call.
So what, they go out? What is it? They go out one night, right? And like they leave with they leave the kid with the babysitter.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to us, the babysitter was there the night that this one girl was killed, right? Right. So
Yeah.
his house, the house they live in, she's buried in the basement, right?
Well, she knows of the story.
That's
she
right.
wasn't there.
That's right.
She knows the story about what happened.
Right.
So she starts bringing it up to the fucking kid.
Right.
And like she's super interested in the house, like looking around
Yep.
and shit. And so the kid gets all spooked out. And they come
Yeah.
home from a night of awesome partying. And Kevin Bacon bangs her. It's a good scene.
That is a scene. She starts it, and I remember that.
Yeah.
Which is not real. It's always the guys in the middle of the night. Come on now. Sheila puts his hands down his pants. I'm like, that's not real. Other way around.
And the real one would be him putting his hands down.
Yeah. And he'd be like, and she's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, you're so gross.
Yeah.
But come on. She's like, fine, hurry up.
Yeah. Hurry up. Are you done yet?
So he gets inundated with all these crazy like thoughts and like little
Visions,
snippets.
yeah.
He's sitting there with the guitar because he starts playing the song.
Well, he's trying to figure out where he heard that tune from.
Yeah.
And he's obviously a music guy in this movie, which is cool. It's a
Right.
nice touch for
Yeah.
that, because he's like pouring through his records. He's like,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
I think he first starts with like CDs and shit.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, it's something older. It's something older.
Right.
And then he
It's-
finally gets the record player.
Yeah, and it's painted black, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
painted black, that movie spawned
yeah.
a Twisted Metal video game.
Yeah, it did. They did like a weirder version of the song. Remember?
Yeah.
Twisted Metal Black, and then
Yeah.
you have to like this. It just does the one like guitar thing, and then it starts. Sweet Tooth, so good.
Well, who's the preacher guy in that? Was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I forget his name. I was seeing if they try to do it, if they did a remake, but
What was his name?
Axel.
Axel. He's just a dude between two tires.
Yeah, he was.
No, that was a great game. I mean, well, Sweet Tooth stole the show because that was the iconic character. But anyway, so yeah, he gets all, he's trying to figure out everything that's going on. He starts doing crazy shit. He's like, then in like, he gets the one flash and he's like, he starts digging in his own like basement, trying, he literally doesn't know he's being like plagued by these thoughts.
Yeah.
And like the kid's like helping him along at some points where the kid like helps him put the finger on the right fret.
Yeah.
Or he just looks at him, don't be scared of it, daddy.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
and it's one of those ones where it was before Kevin Bacon's resurgence.
Yeah.
With like Hollow Man.
Yeah,
or, like,
yeah. Yeah.
It was like this was like his like
Yeah.
sleeper hit, like because
No.
it did pretty well, but also
Yeah.
it was just a good fucking movie.
It's a classic, and I think it's another one of those, like, I think it's more of like a cult classic at this point, because people do know about it, but then you kind of forget
Right.
it. It never really makes
Right.
lists too often.
Right.
I don't see it making lists, but I'll think about it, I'm like, it's just solid.
It's a damn good movie. The
You know?
supporting cast is great.
Oh, yeah.
And then the visions with the kid having him, they take him away,
Yeah.
and that scene where the neighbor and the kid that was there, the one that did it,
Yeah.
and Kevin takes him, the gunshot goes up,
Yeah.
right through the
Yeah.
kid's pillow, because he's like, I'm scared of what? The
Yeah.
feathers, mommy. The
Yeah.
feathers.
Yeah, it's really good, and I don't want to spoil the ending too much. I mean, yeah, there's a murder that takes place, but like the way that he finally figures it out, and like it's just It's very well constructed.
Well written, well
yeah.
directed, great soundtrack.
Yeah. No.
Great, like I said, supporting cast.
Yep, and it's right before like CGI took over fully, so I
Yeah.
feel like they would have leaned a little more heavily on that
Right.
if it was even 5 years later.
Right, so you're relying a lot on the ghost actor, the chick who acted in the role, and she kills it.
I very much recommend this one. If you're looking for something to just, if you haven't seen it, absolutely put it on. If you're looking for something to just do like, some kind of spooky, or hey, put it in your spooky season rotation, because this one does not disappoint.
Right, and I think we're doing this episode kind of in preparation for spooky season, because I know a lot of people, some of these they haven't seen, of course, a lot they have, but maybe we're hitting some nerves, refreshing some stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Now, my first hit here. Look, I know most of you haven't seen this motherfucker, and if you're going to tell me you have, you're a goddamn liar. I had the pleasure of watching this. I was a tyke. I was playing, little kid baseball, hockey, all that stuff, and a friend of my mom was the coach. We were at his family's house. This movie was on.
Yeah.
They were all Italian, so they were into the
Eastern European thing.
Eastern European mysticism. The Maloiks hanging from their neck and everything.
Yeah,
my mom still has it on her trunk.
Oh yeah.
But so the Changeling was on, and I was just sitting there, and I was watching it. All right, so this is the 1980s or 1980 film, The Changeling.
So good.
All right, so The Changeling is a 1980 Canadian supernatural psychological horror film directed by Peter Medic and starring George C. Scott. The plot follows an esteemed New York City composer who relocates to Seattle, Washington, where he moves into a mansion he comes to believe is haunted. Now, so the setup of this movie.
Yeah.
The beginning setup, right? Let me say this first. So this movie goes unlooked, but is still heralded as one of the best ghost movies. It goes criminally unlooked. It's not a sexy, flashy film.
No, but it's big on mood.
Right.
I'm sorry. Give me a second. That should not be on.
Sure.
How is that on? That's fucking weird. I haven't had that on since Thursday. Ghosts.
I think we're going to keep that in.
If you want to.
Before I continue, explain what just happened.
My compressor just went on, which I don't know. It just went on. It hasn't been on since Thursday.
And you have to flip a switch to turn that on, right?
You absolutely do. However, the tank could have been full, hasn't been being used, and it's probably just had a slow bleed on it, so it may have just not been turned off, but could be ghosts. Just saying, if you're not using it, the tank will only slow bleed, so it might not turn on for hours and hours at a time.
Okay.
Hey man, I haven't had nothing here. Like, I haven't felt it. However, we are moving into the spooky season.
We are moving into the spooky season. So, like you said, it's a pure mood film. Now, it's shot...
Pure moods?
Or,
Tubular bells.
The return to innocence. But, so the visual of the movie, it's kind of shot at, and I just, realizing that it's a Canadian production.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, when I was watching it last night to refresh myself, it's shot like everything BBC has ever fucking done.
Okay, so it has almost like a stage-like quality to it.
Yeah, there's no extra lighting. There's only minimal lighting.
I know it well.
So, and also I want to start off this by saying, dude, George C. Scott puts on a fucking clinic.
Oh, dude, it's George C. Scott.
Yeah, once again, for the uninitiated, those who don't know, like, I was telling Jay earlier, we were talking about it, there's a scene that just cuts to him in his bed, just like weeping. And like, I was sitting there alone, and I was just like I'm just watching a man cry, and that's what it was. And like, see, now also one thing it lacks is like a lot of times like ghost movies have like iconic scenes. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, so it doesn't lack like an iconic visual, right? Until the very end. But I also want to bring up this movie has everything.
Oh yeah.
It's got the seance, right?
Yep.
So it has a woman he finally goes to. Well, first he goes to a university, right? And it has the crazy doctor who's dealing with people and with that dude's psychic things.
Yes.
And he even says, the doctor goes, yes, I know what you're going to say. 99% of these people are batshit.
Yeah.
He goes, but the 1% you wouldn't believe,
Yeah.
right? So that's what hooks him into this whole other group. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's also kind of a murder mystery, right?
Yes. Which, just like the last pick.
Right.
A lot of ghost stories have that.
And it involves digging. These actually, Stereo of Echoes is kind of close related to the Changeling, besides the ending and everything. But so yeah, this movie introduced me to seances, right?
Yeah.
Now, I remember just being like, the woman, she's auto writing, right? And the guy next to her is pulling him out and interpreting what she's doing. And watching it now too is still jarring, right? Because the violence of the writing and like the person being involved, you're like, whoa, this kind of actually seems real, right? And then they have that metal tube in the middle of it that starts rotating.
That's right.
And like I remember that being one of the scariest things for me too as a kid. Like, what is that tube? Like, what is it doing? Not, I'm 9, 8. I don't. What am I watching, Mom? Mom, why were you letting me watch this?
Mom.
Yeah, Mom. And then, then one of the more stylistic scenes, the glass flies across the room, and they did a cool cut with a scream inverted with glass breaking sound. Which I really appreciated.
That's in the trailer, I think.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
It's so they do that, and then I didn't even realize, which goes into my next pick, or my next, or 3 picks from now, but he has the tape, right, of the seance, right? And he's going, and he hears the little boy start answering in the tape. Cranks the volume, he starts going in, and he's like, it's like, this is fucking real. This house that I'm lived in, and then they have the mystery behind people go, this house shouldn't be lived in. It's connected to a politician. Like, this movie's fucking great. It's great.
It is.
And then going back to what I was saying with the iconic scene, there's a scene that at first is super confusing, right? And it's when George C. Scott at the very end is kind of going to get closure after he already talked to the Changeling, bottom line, and he sees him walking up the stairs, and the stairs lit on fire. Now you're getting an iconic shot, and I was super impressed at how they did this. Not just the effect coming down, but when the dude's walking up, and they're following the path of it, and then the stairs drop and they go up, right? And he goes into the room, and at first I'm like, I don't remember this. What the fuck's going on? But then it all made sense the way they cut it, and I was like, this movie's ahead of its fucking time. It really is ahead of its time, and it has such great acting in it, and it's like, the Changeling introduced me to everything ghost movie, and if you haven't seen it, seriously, like, yes, it's boring. Yes, it's drab. Yes, it's a lot of things, but story, acting, cinematography. It's on like a lake town in Seattle. Like they have like that kind of stuff.
Well, it's a slow burn.
Right, it's a slow burn. It's an hour and 46 minutes, I believe.
I think some of the best ghost stories are slow burns because you kind of have to have that, for lack of a better term, boring parts. So when the parts with the activity happen, they act as exclamation points. So you're like, oh, okay. So like it really enhances the level of fright to them because
factor,
it really does. And
and then one last thing before we move on. It was been burned in my head, and I remember being a kid pondering what I was watching. Like even after watching it, when the dad kills the kid in the bathtub. And it stuck with me. And this movie also has like shades of like they even do the ghost in the floor. It was coming up to the floor and like the visuals, dude. It set the stage for so many ghost movies.
It's got a haunting quality to it because like it really kind of does. It really does give you that idea of a haunting because like you have like the monotony of daily life and there's and there's him with his whatever's going on, but then the things that just keep happening, it's just like it kind of rings true for like an idea of a man being haunted. And they do a great job of portraying the realism of it. They don't go over the top with effects, right? So everything is kind of like if you're seeing this kid on the floor that's under there,
no, there's a kid right there on the floor. Like they don't like try
It is
to
not Poltergeist.
Right, exactly. But
that's a great fucking film.
which is one of mine. But anyway, so this The Changeling. Like I said, guys, if you've never watched it and Halloween's coming up, put this on your list. And appreciate everything about it because it's an
a great
amazing
film
movie.
on its own.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you also want to see another great performance by George C. Scott, check out Exorcist 3. Holy shit. It's fucking great. That's all I'm going to say. If you haven't seen it, just watch it.
Right.
It's another great one.
Right.
So.
Oh, and I love it in that, like, he's like a composer, right? In that, and like, but he also, he's kind of a badass. Right?
Okay, yeah, okay.
He's got a little bit of badass quality. Almost Egon-like when, like, your mother, like, having that moment of breakthrough when he's like, oh, he'll see me. Telling the chick, like, oh, he'll see me.
Yeah.
And he, like, runs through the friggin' thing to go talk to the senator.
Yes.
And they're holding him and he's, like, freaking out.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
All right.
Sorry, that's it on that, but I love the movie.
It's a great movie.
It's great.
I'm going to rewatch it because it's probably been about 10 years since I've seen it. And I always like a fresh crop of movies
It's
to
free
watch
on
for that.
Vudu and a bunch of places. And,
All right.
and
Beautiful. I mean, if someone were to put it on
Plex, yeah, we could get that
would be
happen.
cool.
We
We
make
should
that
have a
happen.
list that we should put together before you leave today. That should be good.
I just had Lake Mungo and Wolf and
Lake Mungo
and The Frighteners put on there.
Yeah, it's not on my list, but that movie bugs me. Anyway, all right. So for my next pick, this movie. All right, You ever watch a movie and it just happens to it syncs up with what's going on in your life, and it just happens to just hit those fucking points?
Yes.
And it's just like, oh my God, where the point that is when you're remembering back now to when you first saw the movie and to points in your life that you can't distinguish sometimes. Was that in the movie or was that in my life?
Yeah.
Okay. That's this next movie for me, Session 9. Came out in 2001. This is a weird one because... What's up?
No, I just have a funny story about this at the end.
Okay,
It involves your boy Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
This movie, now, while it wasn't a huge production, I believe it was made wait, hold on. It was made with like USA Films, the TV channel. Remember USA?
Right, yeah.
And I think it was released there.
Wings was on USA, baby. That was a great show.
Okay. Yeah. This movie was released in 2001, and it was released there first, and I saw it when I was in college, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like the year it came out. A friend of mine had introduced it to me, and if you don't know the movie, it's about an abatement crew that goes into the the abandoned Danvers State Mental Hospital. Now, before we even get to the rest of the story, this is a legendary building. Like fucking legendary. It no longer exists. I mean, it kind of does. They save some of the facades and turn them into apartment buildings. Yeah, I don't know how you do that, but it's still there. It's historical as hell. It's in Massachusetts. It's mentioned by name in 2 of H.P. Lovecraft's stories. It was in turn was the inspiration for Arkham Sanitarium, which was Lovecraft's creation, which was the inspiration for Arkham Asylum, the Batman thing. Just putting it all together for you.
Sure.
This place is a gigantic historic building. It's built on what's called the Kirkbride Plan. It's these giant mental institutions, and when they describe it in the film, it's almost like a bat. It's like this main section that had these 2 bat wings that went off to the end, where the most extreme patients were kept as far away from the doctors and nurses as possible. Also, these places, like we said before, were known as snake pits.
Legit.
Oh, dude, I wish it still existed.
It's funny though because at Byberry, what do they do besides make a mental health facility out of a couple of the buildings?
Yeah.
Also, right on the main property.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 50 plus housing right there.
Yeah, they like to do that because it's kind of set up in that way where you have these rooms that are separated, but then it's like...
Well, they tore it down and then made a little neighborhood. They didn't even use the buildings. They used the buildings for the self-help clinic.
Gotcha.
But over here, which I based the flats of Byberry on the main land, right behind it, where a lot of buildings were, 50 plus community right there. It's like the Poltergeist neighborhood. Like, you're like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Cul-de-sac.
Oh yeah, and I even, I mean, this place, I even have an old, it's an old paycheck from Danvers Hospital. I have it over on my shelf over there.
Really?
Yeah.
We gotta get a camera on your segment so we can like zoom in on where
I'm
things
sorry,
are.
yeah.
No, we gotta do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's you know, so at the time when this movie came out, I was really into urban exploring, like really into it. So like at the time we were exploring a lot the Marlboro, which was one of our first episodes. So there's parts in this movie that are just like I was watching, I was like, it's like someone made this movie for me.
Yeah.
And then you have the cast on top of it, which is like, it's such a good cast. But at the same time, like, there's a couple clowns in there because you have David Caruso in there.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So it's David Caruso. It's the dude. The youngest guy was the dude who was Warren Beatty from Tower Records.
Yep, Brendan Sexton.
Then it was the dude that should have had a great career, but he did Sweet Home Alabama and Stealth with
Josh Lucas.
Yes, and he was supposed to play Harvey Dent in the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
That fell through. And then the last but not least, our Irish or Scottish friend
Peter Mullen,
who ended up he was also in Braveheart, but he was also in Westworld.
He's in a ton of stuff. He was also in the hell's the show from with I would say the drug show. That's not going to help you. With Jason Bateman and
Breaking Bad. No, Jason Bateman.
No. It was the Netflix show.
Ozark.
Ozark. He was in the first season of that. He was like he was the one.
Right.
He was the one husband.
Yeah.
Great cast. And like, so
I'm
you have
proud
these
of myself for knowing that because I haven't watched this movie in fucking years. Dude.
This movie is so good. So they're in a Bateman crew, right? And they get this deal. You already have the main guy, Gordon, who's played by Peter Mullen,
as we called him, Gordy.
Yep. You know, they just had a kid. Maybe he's not so happy about it. He's in a weird spot. His company's not doing so well. So he overpromises on this job and said, "Oh, we can get this done in 2 weeks. No problem. I'll bring in another guy, and you know, we're gonna just bang this out." So they bring these guys in. They tell them it's gonna be, you know, quick job.
Split.
We just, you know, we got to get in there. We're going to pull some 14-hour days, but you know what? It's going to work because we're going to get there's a further bonus of like 10 grand or something, and you know that they'll distribute among the guys if they finish before like Labor Day or whatever it is. So in the meantime, you find out that like, you know, Gordon had a fight with his wife, and he's been staying like in his fucking van on the site, and possibly wandering the the property of the hospital.
The grounds, if you will.
The grounds, yeah. The campus, even.
Yes.
So, you know, they're there during the day. There's tensions are high. Everyone's trying to get their stuff done. And then one of the guys, I think his name's Mike in the movie. He's a minor star. It's Steven... I forget his last name, but...
Steven fucking Glensberg. Eats his lunch or dessert alone.
Seriously. Wow. Nice reference to
Superbad.
Yeah, Superbad. It's soccer, Greg.
People don't forget.
Where was I?
Minor character.
So he's one of the guys working there, and he's like, you know, looking around, and he finds this room because he has this interest. The guy used to be like, he was a law student,
right?
And like, so he finds this room full of old like patient tapes,
right?
And they're all broken up by sessions, all right. And they're talking to this one woman who has multiple personality syndrome or whatever it's called today. I don't, you know.
I'm no doctor. I'm no doctor.
I'm no doctor, and I don't pretend to be. I'm just, you know, this is just in there. So there are these recordings of Mary Hobbs, and she has these, you know, there's this murder that took place, and they think that, you know, because to deal with this thing that happened, she's created these other, you know, these other personalities. So, and they all live in different parts of her, right?
Yes,
so it's like they have this one guy who's like Timmy. He's like a kid. Like, where do you live? Well, I live in the eyes because I've seen everything.
Yeah.
Or where do you live? I live in the tongue because, you know, you know,
like shit.
No, I forget what they say for that one.
I think it was talking maybe.
Yeah, because I talk too much.
Yeah.
And then as it's going, as he goes through each of the tapes, like the tension starts to build with the thing. The one character, Josh Lucas, the guy from who does all the Home Depot commercials now.
Yes.
Home Depot.
Stealth ruined that guy's career, man. I feel so bad for him.
I've never seen it.
Don't.
I have no plans. Yeah. He was in Hulk too.
He was. Yeah. But once again, there's a series of movies there that just like
Sweet Home Alabama. He thought he was like, this is it.
Well, because he was it was going to be good.
Yeah.
But then he made, because they were like leading man material, Stealth, Hulk. They thought he had it,
Yeah.
and it just fucking.
He was kind of a poor man's Matthew McConaughey, I always thought, because he had that southern kind of twinge to him. He was a good-looking dude, but like I don't think he had the chops. To be honest.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he does great in Session 9.
He's no Russ Cole.
Dude,
Is there anyone?
let's
who's a
not
Russ
do.
Cole?
Let's not do that,
We will for an episode.
dude.
We're doing a fucking episode on the first.
Changed my outlook on so much.
We're gonna do an episode
Yeah,
on the first season of True Detective.
It's the best 8-hour movie that ever existed.
Save it. All right. So, the Josh Lucas's character's I forget Hank. His name's Hank. He's working one day and he finds they're working or whatever. He finds like some coins on the wall. He's like, what the fuck? So he looks and he sees more. He's like, all right. So he like stuffs it back and then he comes back at night. He's like, all right, who the fuck we're going there at night?
Right.
So he goes in there at night to like get these, he's like, make my millions, because that was his thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
He just wants to find this like exit plan, wants to get out.
Yep.
Does not want to be an abatement guy.
Right.
Because
he just wants to hang under a tree like Josh, and
just tell him I'm under this tree with the vine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's there. He's looking at the coins or whatever, and then he hears a noise or whatever, and then he gets something attacks him. So a little bit of fast forwarding for the movie, but things are just going off the rails. Everyone, like, Gordon is losing his shit. Gordon, as the time is going on, trying to talk to his wife. Wife wants nothing to do with him. There's so many great things that happens in the film, but long story short, we find out that Gordon did not have a fight with his wife. He fucking killed his wife, because apparently the first day that he came to the asylum, he was possessed by some kind of evil spirit of some kind. And it's kind of interesting because, like, when you get that revelation, they're playing the session 9 of the tapes.
Right. Well, see, is that what it was?
Yes.
Because I just took it that he was just crazy.
Well, here's the thing. They explain it this way. So the first day he visits there, they're off doing their thing, and he stands there, and a shadow comes in front of him, and it goes, "Hello, Gordon."
Oh.
And then he kind of just like, whatever, like, "You all right?" "Yeah." And then he goes home, and that's the night when that happens. Now, at the end, when they're playing session 9,
right,
they're playing this other personality called Simon that nobody wants to talk to.
Right.
They're like,
okay.
no. Like, the one other person, I was like, "No, I won't wake him up. I'm not waking up Simon." So then he finally does come out, and he has a very different voice. And he says, they're like, he's responsible for the killing. He's the personality of the killing. And, like with the other ones, they ask, "Where do you live?" The other one, "I lived in the eyes. I lived in the tongue. I lived in the ears. Where do you live?" He's like, "I live in the weak and the wounded." So it's like, holy shit. So Gordon, who was in a bad spot, he hadn't been getting a lot of sleep. They have a newborn baby. His company was, in the shitter. So he was in a bad spot. So he came to this asylum, and this, whatever
he was
this thing was,
the weak and the wounded.
He was the weak and the wounded.
Damn, because we talked about session 9 a couple times.
Yeah.
But we've mostly talked about it because of my story that I'll tell at the end of your talking about it. Because damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember when you were saying session 9, I was like, isn't it just because the guy's crazy?
No.
I never put that. I have to watch it again?
No,
Shit.
when he comes to the asylum the first time, the shadow comes in front of him, and it says, "Hello, Gordon." And he kind of just whatever, like,
right.
And they're like, "Hey, Gordon." He's like, yeah, sorry. And that was enough. And it entered him wherever it was. That's
nuts, because I assumed at the end when he was talking to the phone without the connection.
Oh, he was by then.
Right, but what I've always just assumed that it was he was crazy, and he's
Now here's another thing that gives like an added kind of historical perspective to that story that like adds to it for me. Danvers was built on the same property where one of the judges from the Salem witch trials lived. Danvers is old Salem Village. So when people say, "Oh, I'm going to Salem," there was Salem and there was Salem Village. Salem Village is where all the shit happened. They changed their name because they were like truly like mortified that had happened in their town. They tried to like forget about it. They changed the name of their town to Danvers. That's where this hospital is. The land that they used for this hospital was also the same land where one of the judges' houses was at. So you could even, it's a movie, but like, think about that. Maybe there was this ancient evil that slumbered there, and like, and there it is now. It was there, messing with all these mental patients. See,
there goes a testament of why like certain movies like this fall short on some people, right?
Yeah.
So like, if I
I
have,
don't think you need to know that to enjoy it.
I know, but what I'm saying is it adds layers, right?
Yeah.
So like certain movies where like you've you know history of certain things and have done certain things or studied certain things.
Yeah.
Like when you see a movie like this, you go and it links different channels and connects different things that kind of make the experience that much broader.
Yeah.
So like when people that don't go, oh, that's just this dumb, drawn out, boring movie. It's like, well, no, like one, you didn't get it. Two, like me, I didn't even get that, and I still like the movie.
Yeah.
But three, like you get to that point where like what you just did, right?
Yeah.
So like it fills this whole different circumference of entertainment.
Yeah. Well,
personally, that like
well, placing it in Massachusetts and in that area, you have this long history and this like
Right.
people flock there every year because there's just something about it. Were there witches there? No, but
was that part of the plan when they were filming? Like, do you think they had that in? No, it was just a coincidence.
So when that was there, that was like, I mean, it was probably just very much like Byberry. Like people would visit there, like it was an attraction.
Yeah.
And so when they were going to make this film, they were like, oh, we got to use that building before it gets torn down, because it was, even back then, it was already on the chopping block. So so yeah, this movie is this is very much a cult hit because it was kind of ignored a little bit when it came out. I mean, I found it, but over the years, anyone I tell, they're like, oh, you got any recommendations? Maybe some like, off the beaten path. I'm like, check out Session 9 and pay attention. Right,
and so like my funny story about Session 9 was. So before I drove, when I was a teenager, I was with the usual suspects, Sweeney and Tom. We're always like, oh, what's the Sweeney and Tom? Oh. Yeah, Sweeney and Tom, Sweeney Todd. They're that. And one of our things we would do on Friday nights, it's like we wouldn't drive. We, instead of involving Chris or anyone, we all went to Blockbuster, right? Get a game, get a couple movies. Yeah. I saw Session 9, and I was like, oh, what's this? Yeah. So Chris was going through, one of his things, and was like, you're not renting that. Okay, I won't rent it. Sure. So then we ended up walking back hours later
and getting it
and renting it. That and another movie, and we watched it. We got pissed, but in the same breath, I was kind of like, "The fuck's this asshole worried about?" It was, and in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, it's a mental illness movie." Yeah, and you just cracked that nut wide open for me, where I didn't even realize what was going on there. But yeah, no, it's a good movie. Good acting, good things like that. But yeah, no, it's definitely a cool fucking movie. It's in a great place, an iconic location. Yeah, it makes the film. Yeah, right, exactly. It's you do that, you have a place, and you just put a good story behind it. Yeah, you're gonna have a fucking movie. Which is also great because on the DVD, and you can find it on YouTube if you ever do watch it. It's called The Haunted Palace, and it's almost like a making of, where they talk to the actors when they were making the film, and they're like, this place is crazy. Like, even the main guy who plays Gordon, Peter Mullen, he's like totally Scottish. He's like, doesn't take much to be fucking real in here, I'll tell you that. And he's like, you must be on drugs and doing drugs and drinking that's just, I don't know. But he has like a cool story because he's like, he heard his name called one time, which is crazy. And then another time he was up on the roof and had an idea where he was like, "I want you to throw yourself off the roof." He was like just, and that was, and that's him. The other ones said a few things, but man, I wish I could have been around when the place was still there in its original form. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's not, it's a psychological horror film, which is some of my favorite movies. Yeah. There's no ghost scenes, there's no creatures, but it's a very much a theater of the mind kind of movie, and I really, really like it. And if you've not seen it, I can't recommend it any more high. It's just it's a great movie. Hell yeah. So Jay, my next one is another one that formed my summers. I remember this was huge in my household with my brothers and friends during the summertime, and it kind of shaped my summer spookiness.
Summer spookiness.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like
Slasher flicks after 12.
so, it's not like that. Like, I mean, we would always kind of go to that, but like it was like one of those ones everyone's sleeping over, but it's on HBO or Cinemax during the day, and they would do it all the time. They'd play it.
Yeah.
1982 Poltergeist.
Dude.
Look. I know I said The Changeling introduced me to seances and this and that. This movie
Yep.
introduced me
To Zelda Rubinstein.
to not just Zelda Rubinstein. Although in The Changeling, there's a bitch that was like kind of like she wasn't a little person,
Right.
But she was also kind of Zelda Rubinstein-esque, and she was
Okay.
like, the house doesn't want people. And I was like, you're
Yeah.
not Zelda Rubinstein, get out of here. But
Discount ass.
sure. Sure. But for those who don't know, Poltergeist is a 1982 American supernatural horror film directed by Tobe Hooper and written by
What was
Steven
that?
Spielberg. Well, it was Steven Spielberg.
Well, Toby Hooper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't in Tobe Hooper.
Okay.
What I was saying was, everyone knows, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Listen. It was, written by Steven Spielberg.
It's a Steven Spielberg movie.
Right. Michael Grace and Mark Victor, from a story by Spielberg. So, the movie follows a story of a family that moves into it's early 80s.
Yeah.
So the development boom, right? So
Huge
real estate is
developments.
going crazy.
Yep.
And it's what, California, right? It's
I believe it is. Yeah, Northern California.
Yeah, Northern
right?
California. It's they're basically converting all this like dry land
Yeah.
into homes. And I know I'm over explaining for those who've seen the movie a bunch, but
Yeah,
for
but
those who
why
haven't, right? So this movie, so it's a family, right? Once again, the dad is stressed because he's the best seller, or I guess he's not a realtor, but he's selling these new properties.
It's
right?
almost like Mr. Incredible in a way. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Well, the same voice, Coach. But Greg T. Nelson has, he's the dad, and he's, once again, he's not a realtor, he's selling the properties,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. So
it's not like, oh, we're just moving to this. It's like, no, he's convincing people to
Right.
come move into these
Yeah.
developments, and that's what they are, developments.
Yeah.
So he's the best in the biz, and he moves into one of the houses, but it's already one of the established neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That his company that he
Yeah.
works for is already built. So there's already families living there. There's opening scene, dude that grabs all the beers on the bikes, dropping all the beers.
Oh, yeah.
Comes in, they're watching
Hijinks.
football. Yeah, right. So like, it's so good. But some weird shit starts to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And
What's first? The mosquitoes? Is that the first thing that starts
the
happening?
mosquitoes are there, but
The chairs.
the chairs are after that. But the mosquitoes start, and then he's at work, and the mom sees the chair move,
Yeah.
and then she puts Carol. And I remember being like a kid watching this with my mom and dad, and like,
Yeah.
and like I was like, oh, that'd be crazy, because like we talked about this shit all the time. Like,
I have a story directly involved
Right.
in that scene that
Right.
terrified
right
me.
when she puts her on the dot, she's mapping out all the stuff. Well, before that happens, before the movement,
Yeah.
she's in the kitchen. Dad goes to work. Caroline is super into the TV. Gets really close to it, and it's kind of like foreshadowing. So, he goes to work. They're doing construction. There's the thing. They're putting in a pool, and there's
Yeah.
construction outside of the house,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Big deal. So, all this construction's going on. There's a guy like eating Triscuits out of her shit, drinking the coffee, But so they're all gone, and like the mom, when everyone's at school or work, she's with Carol Ann, and she sees all the shit's open, and she's like, "Oh, if you're gonna take that, can you close it?" Blah blah blah. Closes it, and then she turns around, and all the chairs are stacked on each other.
Yep.
Cut to Greg T. Nelson, or the dad, coming home, and she's mapped out all the points in the house that'll make this kind of stuff happen. So it's one of those. It's almost a gatekeeper for like ghost stories and paranormal stories.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's a gateway drug.
Right. It's one of those things where you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Because this, like what I was saying earlier with the Changeling,
Yeah.
this one kind of has it all too, because of when they can't sleep, this and that. Carol Ann goes missing.
Yeah.
Getting sucked into the closet. All this stuff that happens.
Fucking clowns.
That one. And the tree that, But, so yeah, Carol Ann ends up disappearing. They hear her in the TV. They can't sleep. They can't function. Greg T. Nelson, the dad, ends up leaving. He's not going to work. They offer him a big promotion to take over another thing.
Yeah.
But he can't. But they bring in my first introduction to a ghost hunting team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cameras, university.
Yep. No proton packs.
Yeah, no proton packs. But camping out in the living room. And I remember thinking about that and being like, if that's the, wow. Like, there are people that do this, because I remember even seeing other documentary Entity, we talked about them, but things like that, and they go into the things they start experiencing. Yeah, the one guy peels his face like, but the first cellar scene in this, that it's like, wow, the staircase scene.
Yeah, right. When the lights come down the staircase,
and then they look at the footage and you see. They're like, and the one kid's like, what are they all doing? And you're like, it's terrifying, but it's also one of those uplifting kind of things. Yeah. It's also one of those the other side, travelers through dimensions. Yeah. And that movie has it. Then you bring in Zelda Rubinstein, and it becomes this fight, right? This house is clear. Yeah. It becomes this whole crazy fight with going to the light, don't go to the light, and you're learning about demons, and then I literally think my favorite scene is just because the mom's acting when she's seeing the demon in the closet or whatever it is, and she goes, "Oh God, help me!" But the way she delivers that line, it's like that scene gave her the actual gray streak. That wasn't And there's rumors of curses on that movie and the pool and using actual skeletons and stuff.
There were 2 deaths associated with it. The actual corpses in the pool. Yeah. It's a hell of a movie. I remember so the first time I saw that movie, I was watching it, and I was watching it with my dad, and I think we've mentioned this before. My dad, long story short, my dad grew up in a haunted house, so this shit was just real. So when
my mom too, same, yeah.
So we're watching the scene with the chairs, and I'm like, why does it keep moving the chair? He's like, oh, there's a grave under there. It doesn't want them on top of it. And the way he said it so matter-of-factly scared the shit out of me. I don't know why, but as a kid, I don't remember what age I was, but when he said that just matter-of-fact, I was like, oh, there's a grave under there, and they're moving it. How are they moving it? And it completely, my gear, it completely fucked me up. And I just remember watching the rest of the movie, and just a couple scenes, that and then that skeleton ghost thing that's the guardian thing.
That's when she goes, oh God, help me. Yeah.
The clown scene didn't bother me because there's a Darth Vader poster on the wall, and I'm just like, oh, Darth Vader's there. It took me.
we laughed because that summer that movie became huge with us. Yeah, because we saw it before, but it became huge with us this one summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I watched it over and over again. Yeah.
But it was just always on. Whatever it was, Cinemax or HBO, one of them. It was just always on. Yeah. And we were all hanging out, and we laughed. I think Eric said it because he saw the clown and he threw his jacket on it, and it was Chewbacca's face that landed on it. And I think Eric was like, "Great, now it's Chewbacca." And we all just lost our mind. But no, it's such a good movie. It is. It's so well acted. Yep. The directing is so good. The soundtrack, dude.
Oh yeah.
Na, 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 na.
Oh yeah. It's
and then Greg T. Nelson, his big freak out.
Yes.
You moved the stones, but you didn't move the bodies. Yeah. And he's freaking out on the dude. And then he goes, you don't see his face, but you hear him go, wah! He makes that noise while the guy's freaking out, right? And you're like, and then the house destroys itself.
It just implodes.
Oh my God.
It's a great movie,
and I think good.
And that movie really did. I think that sparked the imagination of a lot of people because I think I've seen this mentioned before, a documentary or something. But they say that number one, fear in clowns after that movie fucking skyrocketed.
Sure, I know we have differing opinions on this. I just the clown thing. I don't.
Well, you don't. It's a real thing.
I know what you're saying.
You're not afraid.
I know, but that's one thing I can't get. I just can't get.
I get it.
I know you do. We've had the discussion. We don't have to get into it here, but what I'm saying is, I don't get that.
You know what it is? It's almost like the reverse of a serial killer. All right, serial killers are terrifying, not only because of what they do, but they look like everybody else. A clown is almost like it has its scariness on the outside of its skin. Like it's a regular person, but it has this paint on it.
Yeah, but
and
why
it's
is that scary? I don't,
because it's something that shouldn't be, and they're ubiquitous. Not so much anymore, but they're everywhere. And it's something it's laced with menace, but it has a smiling face.
Sure, okay.
And they were everywhere for a lot of people.
Right.
So
I just, once again, like it's just one of those fears I'll never understand.
Well, you have your fears that people don't understand.
Sure, and that's why I go, okay.
Yeah.
So, like this outer space.
Anyway, what I was saying was that with that, but then I think interest in the paranormal, it's particularly with like ghost hunters, like I think that also kind of like kicked that off a little bit too, because people are like, okay, because those movies, because like we said, it's a Steven Spielberg movie, like it's done in such a way and it's so heartfelt that like it's so believable that I think a lot of people really got interested in the subject. And then you see like not even 5 years after, like then the shows start coming out, so it's what a movie. I think that's going on tonight.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
That's a great movie.
Dude, and you know how we talk about like our every 6 months movies?
Yeah.
Poltergeist is like an every 2 months movie. It's
great, yeah.
I just pop it on. It's just because it has that same small town vibe of like E.T.
Yeah.
It's got
which I was never a huge fan of.
Look,
it's fine. I know people love it. I just was one of the ones I was just like, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I get it, but. Because you know what it is too, the child actors, they're okay. They're not,
I also just the E.T. alien. I don't know. My conception of aliens, I was just like, from the same director too, where you have like Close Encounters. Yeah, those are aliens. Yeah, but then he
wanted money. He wanted money. What are you gonna do?
No, it's a good movie.
He wanted to sell. He wanted to sell a toy.
I understand why it's as big as it is. It's a great movie that's put together well, just like most of his movies. I don't know. There's one that didn't click with me.
Well, let's move on from this because we both got 2 more, and then we have our ending. So what's your next one?
So my next one is a Spanish film, also from 2001, The Devil's Backbone by Guillermo del Toro. William of the Bull. So I was sitting here and I was going to go over the whole plot, like kind of what we've been doing before, but I'm not going to go full on into it because I want people who haven't seen this to go see it, and not go see it, but to watch it, because it's it's got that mystery. There's a mystery at the end, a whodunit kind of a murder. It's set in 1939 in Spain during the Spanish Civil War, just like Pan's Labyrinth, another one of his movies. It takes place at an orphanage. There's a ghost called the One Who Sighs. I just want I want you guys to just go watch this.
Yeah, because I told you.
I know you haven't seen it yet, and it's almost like.
Well, the thing is, like, it's always turned up on all my, all my lists and shit like that. But in the same breath, it's just like I just never got around to it. I just never did.
There's all intrigue going on with people who are involved in other facets of like the Spanish Civil War going on. There's like you have your one main villain guy. There's the good doctor guy. There's the younger guy who's having the affair with the one doctor or the one the nurse. No, she's the caretaker. And then there's the mystery of the ghost that's being it's a child ghost. You have the one kid who's new to this. I think his parents were killed in the Civil War. He's new to this orphanage, and he's being bullied when he gets there. I think I'm gonna leave it at that because I really like this movie. I like the way that it came. I like the ghost effects. I like the time period. Right. Then there's the whole thing with the bomb that dropped right in between the orphanage that didn't go off.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know. But
I'm just hitting point.
Sure.
It's one of his, because controversial opinion. I don't know if he's gotten better as he's gone on. Guillermo del Toro. I like his stuff, but then there's a lot of his stuff that I do not like, and I think he repeats himself quite a bit. And a lot of the stuff that are stronger elements, he made up in this movie.
Sure.
And I think they work really well in this movie.
Sure.
So It's a great movie. Obviously, it's subtitled. It's a Spanish production, but I would definitely put this up pretty high on one of my lists. I don't watch it every year, but every once in a while I'm like, oh yeah. And then because when we were doing this list, I was like, all right, what's one that I haven't seen in a while? And then I was like, oh, Devil's Backbone, hell yeah. And where it gets its name from too in the movie is actually also interesting. And
sure. And look, I'm gonna watch it. I can't wait to watch it. I have a couple things that I have to watch, but no, I'm definitely gonna check it out. And it pops up on every best ghost movie list. And it does.
It's interesting how often these ghost movies, how child murder is at the center of it.
Sure.
It's like so many of them.
Right. Bring me to my next movie. This is a little funny. It's a little campy. A lot of people don't know, before Peter Jackson did Lord of the Rings, he did a lot of wacky shit.
He did.
Was it Brain Dead or Dead Alive, depending on the country, which is a romp.
It's fun, but if one more horror dude tells me that it's a masterpiece, I'm gonna throw up. It's fun.
Yeah.
They had a good time. The effects are whatever they are.
They're fun.
Hey, the toilet monster. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
Or the garbage can monster, whatever the fuck.
Well, before that, he had a commercial success, and I think it's what is it, Robert Zemeckis? Yeah, okay, so The Frighteners, 1996 supernatural comedy horror film directed by Peter Jackson and co-written by Fran Walsh. The film stars Michael J. Fox, Trini Alvarado, Peter Dobson, John Aston, Dee Wallace, Stone Jeffrey Combs, Arlie Ermey, and Jake fucking Busey.
Yeah.
The first time that I saw that man on screen, it was unbelievable. But it tells the story of Frank Bannister, an architect who practices necromancy, developing psychic abilities allowing him to see, hear, and communicate with ghosts after his wife's murder. So, it was executive produced by Robert Zemeckis.
Oh yeah.
So it has a lot of fun elements, right?
Well, it's also why it's teamed up with Michael J. Fox again.
Right, exactly. But so, all right. There's a lot of comedy elements in this movie, right?
There is.
But I was telling Jay that I literally just watched last week the 2-hour director's cut, which is I liked the theatrical cut. The director's cut is way fucking better. It's a way better movie. It is. There's more exposition done through his conversations with the ghost and his employee. The setup of what the afterlife is like. But, for those who haven't seen it, it's just a guy that's, reported to be a charlatan. He's a psychic, but he's also kind of cool. He has that, you fuck, that's his kind of thing.
Sure.
And he has these ghosts that work for him to make some money.
Yeah.
Because after the accident, like they said, it's just... All right, so there's elements. Remember the movie Shocker? You remember Shocker?
Oh yeah, Horace Pinker.
Exactly.
Finger looking good.
So the ghosts look like him.
They do.
The way they do it, right? And it has elements of, just like when you see the Grim Reaper. The thing that sucks the most about it, I think, is the CGI was lacking at the time, right? But they played it off well. And they're adding of the true crime thing, right?
Yep.
So they're adding of the true crime, murder spree, and the way they play those cutscenes out.
Yep.
They're good, man. It's fucking good. And Jake Busey seeing him on the screen for the first time is jarring.
Yeah.
It's jarring.
Okay.
And the way he acts it when I got me a score of,
Yeah.
like you're like, wait, is that Gary Busey's son?
Yeah.
You're like, who the fuck?
Did Gary Busey just reproduce asexually?
Yeah, he had an egg.
Yeah,
he had an egg. Yeah, that's what it is. But he's nuts. He plays the role great. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And oh man, there's so many cool things with he's doing the ghost hunter thing, selling them the bullshit, and certain people that believe in that aren't, and I love the idea that the ghost can die, right? So they're there And Arlie Ermy explains about, that's the exposition there. Where he's like,
Yeah.
I got 46 more years in this. This is mine. Like, get that.
Yeah.
I got a plot up here with your name on it. Like you're putting the frighteners on people.
Yeah.
Sound off like you got a pair. Like,
Yeah.
that's how they do the exposition of that movie, right? Explaining the whole thing. And then, but they even explain too, like the ghosts don't even know what's next for them, right?
Yep.
Until the scene where, he puts himself down for the count again,
Yep.
and he ends up going to heaven after he pulls the Grim Reaper, who was actually
Yes, yeah.
Johnny Bartlett,
Right.
and his girlfriend up, and he pulls him up, and then they do the fucking the snakes come and get him in the tunnel of light.
Yes.
Go through the eyes, the serpent. Like, it's a fucking cool movie, man.
Yep.
It's a really fucking cool movie. If you can watch the director's cut, it adds a
Yeah.
lot, and even the Psycho from Reanimator and Castle Freaks in it.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
Hey, he's done some great stuff.
Sure he has. Yeah.
I know he's been labeled hack by a lot of people. I get
Well, no,
it.
his
Delivery never changes. I know.
Yeah, but he's also he's like the guy from Seven.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? The guy with the fuck apparatus?
Yeah, but he's only been in like 2 movies and freaks out.
No, he's Saving Private Ryan, Alien Resurrection. That's his thing. We just too heavy.
Yeah, I
we could.
guess.
Like he's the same kind of guy, but he's never been a featured player.
Yeah, okay.
Oh no, he was the serial killer in the Denzel Washington movie where he was like the bone collector.
Was he?
Yeah, he
Oh,
was the
okay.
main bad guy. But no, so he does a great job, but then they expand that in the director's cut.
Okay.
With him going undercover with the Nazis.
Right.
And they even do more with that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, check that out. Like honestly, The Frighteners, I remember seeing it in the theater and being like, wow, this is like one of my favorite horror flicks just because of the way they did it.
I saw it in the movies too.
Yeah, and if you get the chance, watch the director's cut. It's a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, man. I saw it in the theaters, and it was a good time. I don't think I've seen it since. So, director's cut. I'll have to check it out.
I hope I had just put on Plex. Hopefully, it's the director's cut.
Yes. All right, man. I dig it. Well, for my next pick, 1980. John Carpenter's The Fog. Now,
Unparalleled visuals, by the way.
this movie. All right, first of all, don't at me. Anyone who's going to tell me that this. It's a simple ghost story.
Right.
And it has that vibe of gothic horror where it's all about mood. It's pirate ghosts. Yeah, yes, it is. Is that a simple concept? Yeah, kind of. But does the movie pull it off in a very amazing way? Yes. And is Tom Atkins in it? The fuck yeah, he is. And that's what makes the movie.
Right. So, yeah, for my opinion, from seeing it,
Yeah.
there's still those iconic shots where it's this fucking pirate and
Yep.
those fucking pirates behind them, and you're like, what the fuck is that? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
The visuals in that,
Yeah.
they do that kind of like
Yeah.
off, like moldy. I can't even describe the look.
Well, I like the setup of the movie, Antonio Bay. And I like the setup where you have Adrienne Barbeau, who's the radio personality,
Right.
and how she's almost like narrating the whole thing.
Yes.
And it's as she's narrating, where she's almost like this comforting voice, but then you see the fog starting to roll in. You see the weird things starting to happen, and there's like the convenience store where like the bottles
Right.
start to move or
Yeah.
whatever. Like it's, I love. The cinematography is incredible, and that's because it's Dean Cundy. That guy has done everything. Like he's worked like on if you don't know him, look him up. He's worked on all of the greats, and these were some of his first. Working with John Carpenter was some of his first movies, but he's gone on to do some of the. I mean, he was the cinematographer for the Back to the Future movies, Jurassic Park, Apollo 13,
Right.
and that's just to name a few. I mean, the guy is, he's the guy. So you can see his, him working with Carpenter in this movie. It really does, sell the atmosphere. And I keep saying atmosphere because that's the big takeaway for this movie. The story it's a little thin, and that's, I think a lot of people do criticize it for that. But I think that it's all mood, and that's what it's supposed to be. You have the movie. The whole movie is the purpose of the whole movie is to have those pirate ghosts come out of the fog at the end, and the guy, and then Blake with the red eyes as he comes out and comes to.
Yeah.
That's what you're building towards,
Right.
and yeah, that's it. I love it, man. I mean, this is one of the ones I put on early in the spooky season because it's like this sets the mood for me. It's, you know, once again, classic ghost story. I love the score. I love the long shots, the where they stay on it for a while.
Right.
Like it builds mood, and it's that classic Carpenter kind of like, you know, 80s horror, and it's one of his. I don't want to say lesser known, but like I feel like this one doesn't come up that much.
Yeah, the thing is, like, God, like what they want Halloween. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, and he got in. From what I understand, like he got in some, not trouble, but like he showed them the first cut of the movie, and from what I understand, they added more Tom Atkins and more Jamie Lee Curtis to flesh out the movie.
yeah.
Because like they were like, it's too thin. They're like,
Well, the thing is too, like, he's a musician.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure he wanted a cadence, right? He wanted like a thing, and it's like, all right. So like when you deal with a song, right? When you're doing a song, it's like, what's the hook?
Yeah.
What's the lead in? And then it's like, if you're like a jam band, it's like, oh, it's all like, you know, we go a 5. But I'm sure he had this concept of like the star is the killer.
Yeah.
That's the lead. You know, like that's that's kind of how he rocks out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's been fighting with fucking fighting with studios and shit his whole career to kind of like, you know, like, well, we need a little more story.
Yeah.
Well, what about the actors or the people that are like, oh, these are the people that people come to see.
Yeah.
And he's like, people want an exposition. They want like a fucking you know, a show.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, well, we're gonna need this person to act and be a part of it.
Right. I love that it starts out with like that like old sea captain-y guy on the beach telling the story.
Right. I mean,
it's
sea captains, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and it's, I don't know, man. Warts and all, I love this movie. It's ghosts from the ocean. You can't go wrong in my book.
The remake is trash.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention it. The remake is so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It was in that, what was that, like from like 2003 to like 2010, 12-ish, where like they did a bunch of these like trying to do remakes of like.
The only one that was kind of good was the Thing one, the prequel, the Thing prequel.
Yeah, it's not bad, but that's another one that's on my shit list because all the stuff was originally
CG
in there was going to be practical.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at that movie now, because I don't know how you wouldn't like, now it's dated CGI. So now it's like, this is garbage forever.
Right.
If you just had some good practical in there, which is what they were going for, you know, I don't know if it would stand up to the original, but
the Thing practical effects is unfucking matched. You know why? Because that thing was in the fucking room.
Yeah.
Like,
Rob Bottin is a fucking master.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. And it's a shame. But The Fog, there's iconic visuals that are in there, like I was saying, like down the alley, and then you see the pirate. I'm with you.
And Rob Bottin, the guy responsible for those amazing effects, plays Captain Blake with the red eyes.
Right.
That's him.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So
it's good.
It's good stuff, man. And I always put that one earlier on because it's like, it doesn't. I wouldn't say that it's like. It's not one of those ones that's like pure Halloween mood. It's not one of those, but it's like it gets it going for you. It's like,
well, that's the thing. So like, there's so much when you go with like Halloween, right? It's the same thing if you're going through like a music playlist when I was driving here, right?
Yeah.
They make stuff Halloween, right?
Oh yeah.
But The Fog, it's pirate ghosts. It's tales of ghosts from the sea.
Yeah.
It's not trick or treating, this and that.
No.
This is the kind of story you tell around Halloween.
Yeah.
So like, oh, it's right in there, baby. It's right in there. Like, no, fuck that whole idea.
Yeah.
Of like saying, no, it's not Halloween. You know, it's not Halloween.
Yeah.
Anything Rob Zombie does. Anyway,
that is 100% correct.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's not Halloween. Going to a beer store and them having a slew of hard to find pumpkin beers, and you're like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna grab one. You take it up to the counter, and the guy goes, oh, summer's not even over yet. What the fuck are you selling it then? What the fuck? That guy almost got choked.
Well, first of all, he wasn't the main guy.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
No.
And he's one of those guys that was like, my wife would strangle. Brittany would. I've been telling Jay that Brittany is keeping up the good fight of like, let's go fall. And
Yeah.
like, I'm so tired of this bullshit.
Yeah.
And she's been fighting everyone, her mother, her family. You know, we're already decorated for Halloween. It's just
Yeah.
how we do.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. And I love that my wife's the same way. She'll punch you in the mouth for saying
Yeah.
otherwise. But yeah. And then like I make the joke because I have the
Bill,
highlights.
you're right in the yap.
I have the highlights. I'm like, it says summer on the box. I'm like, yeah, because it's still summer. And the guy's like, right on. And Jay's like, fuck you, man. You're
Yeah, it was.
with the pug strawberry at the door.
That
guard.
dog's awesome, but
Yeah, the
like,
dog is
it's just like, come on,
Yeah.
dude. If you don't like, I just like,
So what? Maybe I like fucking pumpkin beer.
hey, there's people who, myself included, and we mentioned him in the early episode. Our buddy Sam, you save pumpkin beers for when you can't get them.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's
Right.
great to drink them in the season. Hell yeah, it's amazing. But
Yeah.
how about when you can crack one open in like, I don't know, March,
Yeah, exactly.
when you really want it?
You're going to watch a horror movie that Other Dangerous Podcast suggests to you.
Yeah.
And you don't have pumpkin beer?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you
I mean,
doing?
if you can't drink, I mean, you can, pumpkin coffee.
Yeah, pumpkin.
Fine.
Pumpkin anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want some vibe.
Yeah.
Anyway. So my last favorite movie, and I got to say, the writer and director has had some pitfalls, but this fucking movie, The Sixth Sense.
Oh, okay.
Look, this brought back to the forefront so much in the because there was a while there they weren't doing ghost movies, they weren't doing paranormal movies, they weren't doing alien movies.
No.
And he does it masterfully.
It really does.
He does it. This movie is. I don't want to say it's dystopia because I know you don't like it, but I love Signs. Signs is one of my favorite movies. It's Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix acting together. Say what you will, but Sixth Sense, right? It's Bruce Willis's like one of his finest works of just casual acting. Not like
I don't like Bruce Willis, and I like that movie.
right. Haley Joel Osment was an excellent child actor.
Yeah,
right.
His face is still the same size these days.
Exactly.
It's weird,
and he's
his
still
head
fun.
is this big. His
Right.
face is this big.
Right. But oh my god, it's so. I'm not going to go in the whole 1999 American. I'm not even going to go into that. I'm just going to talk about like The Sixth Sense. One of the summers. Once again, my
and it
cousin
takes place in Philly.
My cousin Eddie's sleeping over it. And it's the next morning. I'm on the one couch. I wake up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey man, did you see that trailer of the movie?" I was like, "Oh no, I was sleeping." He's like, "Dude, no, they do this really cool thing where they're like, when you get goosebumps." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's when ghosts are around." And I'm laying, just waking up, and I'm like, "Yo, that fucked me up."
Yeah.
That whole concept fucked me up. I'm just like waking up, like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's when they're around, He's like, well, that's what they're saying in the movie.
Yeah.
But so once again, that's them, right? So the concept of The Sixth Sense is so good because how they set you up, right?
Yeah.
So you got Donnie Wahlberg, one of the new kids on the block, who does a great job acting.
He
there.
does.
You gotta give it up for him.
Yeah.
Does a great job, and you're like. Once again, you're put into that. Oh, is it psychological? Is it like the turning of the screw book? Is it like, you're like, wait a second. So okay, he got shot, but then you think it was a stomach wound, so he survives, right?
Yeah.
So he's like getting back to his job.
Yeah.
The way they play it, like you watch it the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's funny. 51st Dates, they did it the best when it's like they have to watch The Sixth Sense over and over again because she thinks it's her, the dad's birthday. But that's the thing, like. The Sixth Sense, if you watch it once or sparingly, like, it's so good. Like, the first time you watch The Sixth Sense...
There's one thing that doesn't hold up. One.
Okay.
And it's the scene where he comes there to, where it's like, oh, he's the therapist coming to see the child. And, the mom brings him in there. She's like, oh, we have to do it. And then she turns to... And they have to do it. But it's the one thing that doesn't fit. She's like, you have an hour. It's the only line in the movie that doesn't work. It's like she wouldn't say that to the kid like that. She's making him pancakes. You have an hour. It doesn't work. Everything else works. I love that movie. It's the one line that doesn't work. And it's like, fuck. And they probably racked their brains over there. They were like, what are we going to do here? Because she can't just like leave the room and then he comes in. She has to acknowledge him in a way, but not acknowledge him. And I've watched the scene over and over again.
Yeah.
Because after I saw the movie, we saw it again because I was like, oh, now I want to see how he did it. I want to see like if everything links up, and it totally fucking does. Doesn't wear clothes. He only has the clothes on that he has in those first couple scenes. It's always the same thing.
He's either wearing the sweater or he's wearing
but that's the one thing that doesn't
He has the
line up.
hairpiece on, you know. Yeah.
Dude, I love the ghost when the kid wakes up at night when he's like, "Hey, come see my dad's gun." Like, huh?
You know what's funny?
You're a terrible husband. Like,
but the kid, you want to see my dad's gun? Come on, Mike Boyd, my boy. He knew that guy.
Oh,
That kid's an actor that he knew through his cousin.
That's funny.
And they would be at parties, and the kid would do that to Mike, and Mike would be like, "It's not funny, dude. You can't fucking do that shit, dude. That's not funny. Like, why do you think that's funny? I don't think that's funny." Like, but like, Boy would tell us, he knew that because they try to
That's
insource
funny.
the actors.
Right.
But and the "you can't hurt me anymore" that freaked me out, gave me chills.
Yep.
The coolest thing
Did
was,
you say chills?
welcome to the video episodes of our podcast. Oh, wait, it's not my podcast. It's Other Dangers.
Chills, I think I speak for everybody. If you could just disappear.
Why don't you suck my ass, Jay?
I think someone's already doing that for you. Why don't you just disappear?
You're right. I'm out of here. Bye. But anyway, yeah, so but all right, so you can't hurt me anymore. And then,
I hate that motherfucker.
Yeah, who doesn't? We all do. But one of the other scariest ghosts.
Go to Dylan is chilling at YT.
The two scariest ghosts are two that you don't even see, as far as I'm concerned. One,
The
when
Spanish.
he gets locked in the door,
Yep.
right, and then the other is the one on the radio,
Yeah.
or the recorder.
Steal the master's horse. That one is scary as hell.
Yeah. So the one when he's locked in I guess it's the dumbwaiter or whatever
Yep,
it is. That one,
Yep.
terrifying,
Yep.
and the vocalization, and the other when he's going over the recordings of the one who shoots him.
Yep. And then the Spanish
Yeah.
voice. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
going, and he goes, shh, and you get the tape sound.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
he's sitting there.
Yeah, it's like up, it's in Spanish, and then he translates. It's like up from the depths, like cry out to you, O Lord, or something. It's like, oh my god,
dude, those are the scariest ones.
Yeah.
And then then when you start to get kind of comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my favorite part though still. Your name is Stuttering Stanley.
Yeah.
And the dude is been talking to that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I bring it up at work and we joke
and the
about
hanged
it.
bodies in that one point.
Oh yeah, that too. It's a great.
I think so it's a masterful film, but I think what it suffers from is that, his other films suffer from is that you could tell this is the movie he worked on in his head.
Yes.
For probably decades.
Yes.
And that was his big idea. He's like, oh, I'm going to do this. It's going to be this. It's going to be this. And then that's a great idea. But then when he was trying to follow it up, it was just like, don't get me wrong. I like Signs. That has bigger plot holes than Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense doesn't really have any.
I understand.
Yeah.
I know. We've me and you.
Yeah.
Literally one of your parties.
Yeah.
I want to say 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We argued about something.
Yeah, there's water in the air.
I understand. I understand. But we actually argued.
I know.
Me and Jay don't argue ever. We don't do that. We either just go, fuck you, or go well, why do you feel like that? If it's
Fuck Addy.
Yeah. But that's how we are. But we argued about Signs.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking dude. Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah. And
I love that movie.
Yep.
I absolutely. It's
there
top
is
25 for me. It's one of my
there's
favorite movies.
legitimately frightening parts, but it's not as airtight.
Yeah, I understand. I agree.
Yep.
But I think
But The Village, a pure masterpiece.
look, I actually like The Village.
I hate that movie
Why?
because, dude, a plane never flew over that place. They never heard
They
fucking
addressed it. No, they addressed it.
what?
They said that they had that community as what do they say? We actually joked about it when we watched it at work because it was on Sci-Fi. It was a no-fly zone. They had to put over as a no-fly. It's in the movie.
They never saw any fireworks during 4th of July in the close proximity to Philadelphia.
Did you see how far away it was with the fences? I get what you're saying.
There's no fucking way.
Dude,
There's
a
no
scene,
way.
Look at it this way. Though.
What?
There's a scene when Adrian stabs Joaquin, right?
Yeah.
And
bad cover.
Yeah, but when it's my favorite fucking scene, and I was bringing it up, and it happened when what's her name? Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
She's walking, right? She's blind. She's
Yeah.
walking. They let her in the room, and she finds him. She touches his
Yeah,
face, and just starts fucking wailing on him.
Yeah.
And then, they pull her off, and you just hear.
I hate that movie.
I love that.
I
like it.
It's so off the rails, and it so doesn't work, and it so doesn't come together.
Sure. I like it.
I just, and by that movie, it was his third film. It's like, okay, so what's the twist? So you go in, you're like, oh, so what is this? Just not there? Oh, what are these monsters? Not real monsters? You're already like,
sure. Well, he wanted to get out of his, he wanted to try to. I get it.
I hate that movie.
You can.
I know.
I love you.
Okay.
Oh, you're not gonna say fuck you.
I love you too.
Oh, that's right.
I liked Split.
Split was good.
Hated Mr. Glass.
Or
Glass.
Yeah.
Hated that.
Oh, it was they
Unbreakable. I love.
Dude, The Visit was great. I love The Visit.
The Visit is shockingly good.
We were in the theater, me and Britt. It was one of the movies that we went to see. And when she was like, "Those aren't your grandparents," I looked at Britt. We were because we were in the reclining seats, right, like at the one Woodhaven, and I went, and I, you know what I mean? Like I didn't do that. I went,
Chris Pratt gif.
Yeah, I literally did that, and she looked at me. I was like, "Oh, he's back." Dude, like I didn't say, but
the scariest part in that movie is when they're under the house and the grandmothers are galloping under the house. Dude, it actually scared me. I was like, ugh! And that doesn't happen often.
Yeah,
I was like, ugh! What the? Well,
also the sundowning when she's up around. Yep. Oh, dude.
Yep,
it's a great fucking movie. It's a great fucking movie.
No, I really
haven't seen
that.
anything he did since, but
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our last portion here.
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is unpopular opinions.
Unpopular opinions.
Since you started this,
I'm just gonna, just kind of blanket statement it a little bit. I don't understand why people like have such a hard on for the Conjuring movies. They're, first of all, they're so like weak. Like they pull from a lot of other ideas, and then it also has the whole Warrens thing, which we already know how much I love those con artists.
I can't wait for that episode. I really can't.
Yeah, it's coming. The thing that I remember I was watching it and I was like, okay, I already knew who the Warrens were, and like they're showing this stuff, and it's like, okay, the people in the house, and they have this, but the thing that actually really bugged me was, and maybe it's just because I'm a history guy, but they were like, oh, what was her name? Like Bathsheba, the woman that lived there. Oh, she was a satanic witch from Salem. I was like, I'm done. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
And then you're trying to present this as a case study that was done.
Right.
And it's like, I'm sorry. That's so outside of the realm of plausibility now. It's like, okay, so you're telling me...
Well, yeah, you go, the first thing, me and you say this a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I go to my friends, witches aren't real, right? Oh, hold on. Let me clarify.
It's not
witches in Salem weren't real. No witches were hung in Salem, and they weren't burned at the stake either.
No quote unquote witches were burned at the stake in the United States or the colonies, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
No. So then it's just like, okay, so we're just watching garden variety horror movie, and that's all that it is.
Yeah.
So, the clapping scene. I mean, there's some
jarring jump scares.
Yeah, there's some jump scares in it, and it is what it is. But then then they go to part 2, and then it goes completely off the rails because that haunting is like very well documented, and like the Warrens were viewed as fucking nuisances. They were told to leave. They're like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want to do a book.
Right.
But they view it, but they have it as like, oh no, they saved it. And then, what was it, the Crooked Man or whatever the fuck that thing was?
Yep. Yeah,
with the bowler hat with the glasses. I'm like, am I watching an episode of Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, are you staying in the realm
Scooby-Doo is better than that. Don't
but my
don't
point
blast Scooby-Doo.
No, I can, because that's a cartoon character.
Right.
They designed a cartoon character there. So, are we making ghost films that are still in the realm of plausibility, or are we in like fucking wackiness that's occurring?
Well, look at it this way, right? So we've said this so many times, right? Mm-hmm. Based on a true story means
but
director's vision.
Yeah, that's fine, but you have to stay in one lane. Are we in plausible haunting land? Are we in like circus haunting land?
No.
You got to stay in one lane, and because that one does that, well, he was pulling from the Insidious movies because that has some goony shit in there.
Well, because it's the same companies, it's the same director.
It's James Wan.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But also too, they made a spin-off movie about a doll that murders people.
They made a spin-off movie for The Nun.
That's more than the Annabelle shit. Look, Annabelle was kind of cool because it was scary. I didn't take Annabelle seriously, but there was a couple scenes like when the little girl's there and the door closed and the woman comes out, and then when the doll's lifted, there's some scary stuff there. It's kind of cool, but they go based on a true story, and you're like, all this is horseshit.
Yeah. Well, yes, and I mean that's its own issue, but I don't understand, like, do the Insidious movies, because that's clearly just made up out of whole cloth, and that's fine.
And the first one was really good.
Yeah, I love when movies do that. The first one was fine. I had a great time with that movie. There's some very creepy when like the kid is like in the house and like there's some good stuff in there. Don't get me wrong.
And the two guys, the ghost hunter guys, they do Bear vs. Ninja.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny and it's fun.
Entertaining,
right?
As it should be,
right?
But the Conjuring movies, and also because it has made kind of stars out of the Warrens, which no, Ed Warren was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Which, hey, if you're disagreeing with me as you're listening to this, do some fucking research.
Yeah, do a little fucking research.
Even just a little bit.
Don't watch the Travel Channel's shock docs on the Warrens.
No.
That paints them as these wholesome people.
No.
Live-in babysitter that he fucked. Anyway, all right, we'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not even his real name, so.
Yeah, right. So anyway,
Charlatan,
absolutely.
Lorraine may have just been along for the ride, but she's, guilty by association.
After he
at the very
died,
least.
she got in league with
the devil,
Paranormal State dude.
Oh, I know.
And we've talked about him.
Who, Ryan
Buell, who has... Dude, if Chip Coffey's walking away from you, let me just say that. If Chip Coffey's walking...
Chip Coffey is a saint!
Yeah, right. If Chip Coffey's walking away from you, sums up, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But...
Now, so I just wanted to mention those two because I know some people love them, and it bugs me because it doesn't stay in its own lane, but then at the same time, it's kind of like, it's made celebrities out of the Warrens, which Ed Warren is just a completely reprehensible figure.
Yeah, giant scumbag.
Yeah, so...
All right.
He's not Patrick Wilson or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson's awesome, but he's not him. But, all right, so mine, strictly on amazing concept, terrible execution, 13 Ghosts.
Okay. I saw that in the movies, too, and I couldn't stand it.
Look, Matthew Lillard. People love the guy. I'm not one of those people. I'm not. He's a niche actor. He's funny in some things. I can tolerate him sometimes.
Yep.
But, and you know what? He does a good job in that, being the, psychic, right? He actually does a good job in that. And it's scary that I'm saying that this guy's the best part of the movie. So, all right, so you have the 13 Ghosts, right?
Yeah.
The concept of this family and her, and they cast a Rod Digger, the rapper, to be like.
Oh yeah, doesn't she doesn't she do some kind of something like a? Doesn't she do some scratching at some point? And doesn't she something fucking
I don't know.
crazy?
Anyway, no, she's taking care of the son who has they cast this kid who's got the worst voice in the world, and then they have Shannon Elizabeth as the older sister because her shit was trailing off because American Pie was 4 years out, and they and then they get Tony Shalhoub, who's awesome, right? And he does a great job too. But the execution of the film it's dire. It's look,
the ghost designs too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So once again, the concepts behind all the ghost designs, most of them are pretty fucking sick, right? You have the jackal that influenced an entire group of people. Haunted houses still around here. Still do the jackal, which is cool. That's scary, right? Why didn't we get more of that understanding? So what they do is they do this whole juggling of you can't do this, you can't do that. But a lot of the times, all the rules that they establish in the movie are broken.
Right.
Because there's kids moving around and doing all this kind of stuff. And the glass house thing, that was just kind of a fucking gimmick. Because guess what? It's based off a fucking movie in 1930, was it? 1940?
The original?
The original.
I think it's from the 60s.
Yeah, so the original being in 1960, and it's it's a remake, right? Where they try to like modernize it.
Yeah.
And honestly, the coolest part is the beginning when they go to get the Colossus,
Yes.
right, in the junkyard, and that's where he haunts. And the idea though that this guy is building this machine and he needs these ghosts to do this.
Yep.
You know, is the coolest shit. Oh, then you're the 13th ghost to do that. Like, I don't know. There's so much potential there. I do think it needs to actually be remade as a series.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You know what? They would have more time to explore all the ghosts.
A season for each ghost.
Well, you can do an episode per ghost.
I would like maybe 2 episodes per ghost.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going long term, but a lot of people love it. They think it's great. The makeup and practical effects are shit, and it needs to be addressed.
Okay. It actually reminds me of I had a book from Scholastic back in the day. It was called 13 Ghosts, but it was just 13 ghost stories, and I had really like one of those like ghostly women on like the staircase. And I remember when the movie came out, because I was, when I was younger, I was not aware of the original, it was the Vincent Price movie, right? It's Vincent Price, yeah. I was not, aware of that one. So like, I was like, oh, is this based off of that book I had when I was a kid? And I was like, oh, nothing to do with it.
Well, it was actually cool because that movie, they started this thing where like it was actually part of you would wear glasses, right? But if it was too scary, you could take them off because the way they imprinted the film, the ghost would show up.
Yeah.
Only if you had the glasses on.
Yeah.
And if you were it was a genius marketing back then, dude. Like, man.
The days of like things like the Tingler.
Right. The Tingler.
Yeah. Look it up.
I mean, honestly, that's. And look, I wish Matthew Lillard the best.
You dick.
Because he's, since then he was in that show like Good Girls, which is actually a good show, but he's now he's on board to try to get James Gunn to do the Scooby-Doo R-rated movie and stuff. And he almost played Negan in The Walking Dead and like stuff like that. But I've just never been a huge fan. But God bless him.
Hey, I can get it. I get it. I could see why you would see something like that, and then you see the poster, and like you're probably anticipating, like, oh, this is gonna be fucking great, and it's just it makes a lot of people's lists for like this movie's dog shit, but then people do love the designs of the ghosts. But I'm just like, they seem very, I don't know, generic to me. But that's that's me.
No, they're absolutely generic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I think that's it for this one, right?
Yeah, buddy. I think that's.
I don't think we even need closing statements, do we?
Go watch these movies. There's the closing statements.
Right. Halloween's coming up. You want to get in the mood? Let's go.
Yep. If you had to pick one out of your choices, which one would you recommend?
One out of my choices.
If they hadn't seen any of them,
because I know they haven't. The Changeling.
Yeah.
They haven't seen The Changeling. I know they haven't. You know why?
Why?
Because they're saying things like 13 Ghosts are good.
Okay. If you haven't seen any, there you go. If you haven't seen any out of the list, I would say because it's more of an indie film and I think it needs more fans. I'd say Session 9.
110%.
Yeah.
Because you just opened my eyes to a whole fucking thing I didn't even realize.
Yeah, it's the hook of the film.
Right, exactly. I'm over here like, fucking dude. Wasn't even a ghost, fucking dude. But apparently it was. All right, guys. Well, so for this episode of Other Dangerous Podcasts, my name is Ken James.
And I'm Jason McKittrick.
And as always, have a spooky evening.
Spooky.
Thank you for listening to Other Dangerous Podcasts. Have you encountered the other dangers? If so, you can email us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a discussion about the paranormal, you can find us at Other Dangerous Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. There you can find submitted pictures, videos, and artwork from listeners. We are now streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are streamed. And after listening, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the other danger.